Okay, here we go.
All right.
Jana, welcome back.
We're back.
Where have you been, Jana?
You know I've been here on WhatsApp with you, but we haven't
I
been
know.
we haven't been doing YouTube lives because we took July off and did
We
lots of
did.
fun personal things. So I'm back
Because
at work full time and we're here back at YouTube studios.
and Rue's here too with us. She's alerting us of intruders. It's been a
Oh,
nice break. It's been a nice break. My
what's
husband's in
going
the
on?
driveway with a chainsaw over his head, like shaking it around.
I don't know if
It's been a
that's
nice break, but we're
hilarious
back.
or terrifying.
Well, you
Yes,
know
you're
Nate,
back.
so I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I can see that. I do know him. Yeah.
So
So
we're
what do we
back
got?
today.
What do we got today? What are we talking about?
We're so out of practice, we're talking over each other that I'm just excited to see your face. Like, I'm just so excited to see you. We're talking
Same,
about
same girl.
Pinterest schedulers, Jana. We're talking about Pinterest schedulers and how to choose a Pinterest scheduler. So we're not we're not telling you which one you should do, which one you should buy. This isn't a sponsored by any particular scheduler video. This is just information to help you choose what's going to be right for your business.
Sounds good.
So,
I think it's such an important topic because I know for my audience for sure, Pinterest is something that they want to get set up and then be able to some degree set and forget. And we love Pinterest because it doesn't have to be such active marketing. You don't have to be doing engaging and whatnot to be successful. So it's really good to be able to schedule your pins instead of trying to remember to do them every day or every week. So
yeah, so one of the things that I think we should cover here at the top is why use a Pinterest scheduler at all when Pinterest offers their own scheduler?
yep.
And one of the points that I always bring up is, and it's twofold. So there's pros and cons to both sides of the decision. One of the pros to using the native scheduler is you can add tags if you have the latest updated version. And I'm going to have a thread coming out on this in the coming days about product tagging, or
Okay.
not product tagging, about Pinterest tags, the tag topics,
Yep.
because I published a video about that on the channel this week.
Hmm.
And that's one of the pros to using the native scheduler. Now, one of the cons to using the native scheduler is that you can only schedule up to 30 days in advance. So if you're sitting down like me and you're wanting to schedule out a month of content, and there's 31 days of the month, or you're ahead, maybe you're 5 weeks ahead instead of 4 weeks ahead, you can't schedule all that content out. So it's
Right.
really kind of limiting. And then the other limiting factor is you can only schedule in 30-minute increments. So if I wanted to schedule a pin at 9:17, I can't. I have to schedule it at 9 or 9:30. That's a little bothersome. It's not a big deal, but I'd
I was
rather.
what's a use case for that? Why would we even won't be
Yeah,
worried about 917?
it's not a big deal. Like, it's not
Yeah.
a make or break, but it's just, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to me that you can't choose what time exactly. Like, I
So
want it
there
down
isn't
to the minutes, Jana.
so just to be clear, there really isn't a use case. It's just
No,
annoying to you.
it's
Okay.
annoying to me.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. It's
Okay,
so funny
so
because, we share a brain and we really have so many of the same opinions and philosophies and stuff. So when I heard you say that, I was like, there's no way that she's changed her opinion on that. Like, I know it doesn't matter if you schedule it at 9:17 or 9:30 or 12:30 for that matter. But I
no,
get it. It's just annoying. You're like, I want to be able to do what I want to be able to
I
do.
want options.
I want more. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
So the thought process here is that using a scheduler allows you more freedom and flexibility to schedule widely and far in advance, even if you wanted to. So if we're thinking about a lot of seasonal content creators, people who are really pushing content for certain time frames, like Christmas, you want to get that out in advance. It's really difficult to do that um, thoroughly and thoughtfully if you're limited to a 30-day time frame. So a scheduler can really help you to do that.
Yep.
Now, as we start thinking about scheduling tools, some of the things that I like to factor in is obviously whether the tool first and foremost is API approved. Now you should always use a tool that's API approved, and the onus is on the scheduler to let you know if they're API approved. It's not on you, but you do run the risk of getting marked as spam if you're using non-approved schedulers. So keep that in mind. All of the tools I review on the channel, here on my blog, all have either partner approval or API approval, and there's a difference. So just this year, Pinterest released, and I believe it was just this year, it might have been last year
I think
though.
so. Yep.
They released their API application process for anyone that wants to apply. That has allowed the market to become flooded with so many amazing different options for schedulers, for social media schedulers coming into the Pinterest market, and then just new Pinterest schedulers wanting to crop up. It makes competition in the market healthy, and that allows us more options. I love it. Now, with that process, you're going to have those two to choose from: partners or API approved tools. Not every API approved tool is a partner, but every partner is API approved.
Right.
That partners go through a rigorous process to actually partner with Pinterest. That's why they're called partners. They work with Pinterest. Someone at the Tailwind team is working with someone on the Pinterest team, and they're making sure that the tools and the education around the tool is along the lines of Pinterest best practices.
I like that. That's a good point. Not just the tool, but also the education that that tool is putting out. That's important. Okay, cool. Yep.
Yeah, so you'll see partnerships with Tailwind and Pinterest often. They just had a Pinterest fireside chat recently with Tailwind with Pinterest. A Pinterest employee came over to Tailwind and had a chat. So you'll see kind of those things within the partner realm of their content and their communities. So you just need to be aware of that. It's not a necessity that you choose a partner tool over an API approved tool. In fact, a lot of the API approved tools are just as robust and just as fairly priced.
Interesting. Okay.
So, given that kind of context to this conversation, I think now we can talk about choosing a tool that's a fit for you.
That makes sense.
So there's 6 things that I kind of vet every tool through when I'm reviewing them. And the very first one is pricing. What's it cost? Because I really do advocate for creators, especially smaller, brand new creators, a lot of them in my audience, to not spend a lot of money on unnecessary investments if you don't need it. If there's another way, I'm going to have to yell at him. Hang on.
Okay. I will actually keep talking and say that, and this is a little bit out of context, but it's on my mind, so I'll mention it while Heather's taking care of the chainsaw noise in the background, which I can't hear, but apparently she can, is that for my audience, I definitely think that for a lot of people, the native Pinterest scheduling tool is enough. So I just want to say that, like we already talked about the idea that in some cases, paying for a third-party tool might really be good for you for your business. But I just wanted to throw in there, and I was kind of saying this while you were taking care of the chainsaw situation, that it is quite possible that once you consider all these 6 factors that you're going to talk to us about, Heather, that you decide that the Pinterest native scheduling tool is enough for you, depending on your strategy and what your needs are. So I just want to point that out. Like, it's not, I would say, I don't know, maybe like, I'm just totally guessing here, but I would say like at least half of the people in my audience, if we went through this assessment with them, like 1-to-1, would probably discover that actually the native scheduling tool is going to work great for you and you don't need to pay for anything. So go ahead, keep going.
Well, and the same is true for a lot of people in my membership community too. Like the native Pinterest scheduler is just enough for most people. And I really don't want you investing a ton of money in flashy tools that you might forget about, which goes into these 6 points total. So if you don't have a lot of money to put into a tool every month, I would rather you pay yourself your salary, reinvest into hiring a VA, other areas of your business that might be able to take that little bit of money and do more for you. So pricing is always a consideration for me. And if you're looking at tools, and I was looking at some of the partner tools, Jana, recently, and some of them are European and they are very, very, very expensive.
Interesting.
So like one of them was close to $500 a month expensive.
What?
Yeah,
Okay, no. No, I
I
mean
know.
that might make sense if you're like, home goods and like you're doing a ton of work on Pinterest and advertising and all kinds of stuff. But even in that case, like they probably wouldn't need it. But
Yeah.
interesting. That is
Yeah.
very, very interesting.
It was eye-opening to me. So I want you
Mhm.
to consider how much your budget can handle, which brings me to how easy is the tool to use.
Yeah,
So I rate all of the tools that I review on ease of use because if it's not easy to use, you're not going to
not
use
going to
it.
use it, right? And then you're not
It
going to get
doesn't
your
make
money's
sense for
worth.
your, it might make sense for my brain and be great for me, but it might not make sense for your brain and be good for you. So always do the free trials of tools and just try it out before
Mm,
you commit and put your credit card information in. Simply
yeah,
because
that's
if
good
it's not
advice.
easy for you to use, you're going to waste your money, and let's not do that.
Right. Okay.
Now, another consideration is,
Oh, Heather, before you move forward, let me just ask you,
yeah.
I know where after people hear these different considerations, where can they go to actually see your tool reviews and things like that? What resources do you have for people
Yeah,
beyond what we're doing today to go learn about tools and choose one?
I have two.
Okay.
I obviously have the playlist here on YouTube that you can review, and we'll put that in the description. But I also have a blog post where I break down all of this information and I review all the tools. And I'm actively
Oh,
updating and
awesome.
adding to that currently, actually.
Okay.
I just added a couple new tools to it this last month.
Okay. So we'll link both of those in the description after this live. Okay, go ahead. So
Yeah.
go ahead. Moving forward.
So the next thing that I want you to consider when you're choosing a tool is how easy is it to schedule your pins? A lot of API approved tools actually make it really kind of clunky to schedule your Pinterest pins. You can only do them one at a time, or there's no draft library, so you can't upload your drafts. Tailwind has completely spoiled me over the years with that drafts library, so I can
Mhm.
come back and finish my work later. So I want you to kind of look at how easy is it to schedule your pins? Does it have a Chrome extension? Do they have an
Mhm.
RSS feed where you can feed your content in via an RSS, input? What are all of those little methods that you can use to quickly schedule your content? Because a scheduler tool is supposed to save you time and make it easy. And if it's not doing that, then at the end of the day, it goes back to point number two, which is ease of use, and it's not going to be great. Like
Yeah.
you're probably not going to use it long term.
I'll give an example. So I happen to use Later right now
Hmm.
to schedule my Pinterest pins. And one of the reasons I do that is because I'm already paying for Later. So that kind of comes
Yeah.
into pricing too. Like that's another way to kind of evaluate pricing. Like, can you use a tool you're already using?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah. But one of the things I really like about Later is, and it's not the only tool that does this, I'm just saying I like it, and it definitely contributes to ease of scheduling for me and kind of might come into ease of optimization a little bit too, but is that you have the ability to save captions.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll write a new caption, but sometimes, and by the way, they say saved captions on Later, but we all know if we're in the Pinterest world that we're talking about the pin description. But you can save that and then use the same one. So for every blog post, I have at least 3 or 4 saved, and I
Ooh,
can rotate through and grab one of them. And then even if I want to like zhuzh it up a little or change out a keyword or something, I can do that, but I'm not starting from scratch every single time I upload
love that.
a pin to a blog post that I've pinned many times in the past. So that's
Yeah.
an example of the kind of feature that for me makes paying for Later well worth it. And it makes it easier to schedule for me. So that's just an example, just to kind of bring that to life. So back to you.
That's really great. I actually have Later queued up because through this entire process of schedulers, which I started in 2021, um, I'm updating all of the videos that go along with it. So I'm
Mhm.
doing new updates to those tools and Later's on the list. So I'm actually excited about that feature because I don't think they had that when I was using it before.
Yeah, if you want me to make you a little video to show you my workflow, I'd happy
Yeah,
to.
I love it. Pricing definitely that is a really good point, and I meant to bring that up during the pricing, but the chainsaw distracted me. If you can use a tool like Later to schedule all of your social media posts, and it includes Pinterest, and you like that functionality of the scheduling part, I think that's a really good way to save some money.
Yeah, it's a valid consideration. That being
Mhm.
said, most people who have a lot of omnipresence It's hard to find one tool that does everything for every, so that's the
Truly.
only caveat I would say there is like, don't think that there's going to really be one tool that's going to literally do everything for you. There might be,
Yeah.
but there might not be, and that's okay. Like it's okay to have a couple of different schedulers. So
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a really good point because I use Buffer right now to do threads in LinkedIn.
yeah, I'm using Buffer now to do threads. And I could use it for Pinterest actually.
Yeah.
So, maybe I'll look into it again. So that's also another thing to just mention is like
Yeah.
sometimes we do a little tool bouncing and that's okay too. Like it's okay to try new things and see what works for you.
Yeah, for sure. And all of these tools come out with new tool sets, new
Mhm.
features,
Yeah,
like the saving of the captions thing. That is
right.
so smart.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling some other social media tools will swipe that little feature at some point.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if someone else doesn't already have it, but
Mhm.
it's good. It's good. It's very helpful.
I've talked about this before in Pinterest workflows that I save captions,
Mhm.
especially when I'm using like the Ghostwriter tool, because you're on a credit basis on Ghostwriter for Tailwind.
Yep.
And when you generate one description, you're actually given three. You're
Yep.
given three titles and three descriptions. So I actually take all of them and
Hmm.
I'm maximizing my credit usage instead of using all 50 in one
Yep.
month for 50 pins. I'm actually getting like
150.
150
And are you banking them in ClickUp?
in a spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's your Pinterest system spreadsheet.
my Pinterest system sheet. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yep. All
Do I
right.
do I
So
know that do I know the Heather Farris Co ecosystem or do I not?
you do. The next one is ease of optimization for Pinterest. So this is really important because for your Pinterest pins to schedule properly, for a tool to actually have any sort of approval through API with Pinterest, they have to follow best practices for Pinterest. But they don't have to make it easy for us to
Mm,
follow those best practices. And
mm.
one of the tools I reviewed recently, I won't name names, made it really very hard to find the Pinterest optimization section. And this tool was developed for social media first and then added Pinterest in. So it makes sense because not all the other social media tools require you to have a title or a link.
Oh,
So
right. Yeah.
if it's not easy to figure out where to put that information, then your
Right.
pins may fail or they may not be fully optimized when they land on Pinterest. And what's the point?
Yep. Yeah, and Pinterest is a little bit of a different beast in that way. I mean, I guess you could say that about most platforms, but that's a good point. Like they need to set it up for, I would need to use a tool that is set up to clearly have where all those little things are that we need to add to optimize a pin.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it's like hidden or if it takes two extra steps every single time you schedule one pin just to get that set up to go, that's going to add to the amount of time it takes you to schedule. So ease of
Mhm.
optimization. Okay,
Ease of
got it.
optimization.
Clicked. It clicked.
The which ones have I not mentioned? I can't even remember.
Um, Ease of uploading. Did we
Uploading?
talk about that?
Yes. So how you get your content into the tool is going to vary. I think I maybe mentioned this briefly earlier, but some tools offer Chrome extensions.
Hmm.
Some tools allow bulk uploading. I love bulk uploading. Some tools allow you to upload with the CSV file in bulk.
Right.
All of these options are viable, but it depends on how you work and what your workflow looks like.
Yeah.
If you are a one hit wonder with one blog post, one pin, and then you schedule it,
Which
and
is
then you do that
fine,
again, and that's
which is
totally
okay.
fine.
That's
Yes.
a method that we endorse.
Yes. Um, you don't probably need bulk uploading.
Hmm.
Probably could just drag that one image into a scheduling tool or the native scheduler and just schedule it.
Right.
But if you're like me and you're creating 30 to 60 pieces of content for Pinterest a month, and I'm doing that in batches,
Uh-huh.
I want to be able to upload all of that to the tool and
Yep.
schedule it all in one go.
Right.
So be thinking about your own workflow
Hmm.
and how you want to get your content into the tool. What's important for you?
Hmm. And if someone's listening to this and they are like, well, right now, the way that I'm scheduling is very manual. I'd like to learn about that bulk uploading workflow. Do you teach about that inside the membership? Is that where someone, because I can just feel there's people out there watching this either live or later on the replay who are like, you can do that. Can you show me how?
Yes.
So where can
Yeah.
someone learn how to do that from you?
The Pinterest system is probably the easiest step to learn how to do that
Okay.
because I teach you in the system to create pin plans, to pre-write all your pin copy, to do all your images in batches, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much the workflow, and I will teach you a workflow that you can adopt and edit and amend for yourself.
Inside the Pinterest system, which is,
In the Pinterest system, that's the
okay.
quickest, easiest way. Or if you want to join the membership
Mhm.
and have some support, the
Right.
difference is the system doesn't offer any support. It's just a workflow. You watch the videos, you implement, you do your thing. The membership, you come, you join, you get the system, and you get support.
Right. Okay.
So if you have questions, and a lot of people will come to weekly calls, to
Mhm.
our office hours calls, and they'll ask these questions.
Right.
And it helps
Okay.
everybody. It's really actually great when people do that.
Perfect.
My husband has cut down an entire tree,
Impressive.
literally dragging it past my office, and it's going to be loud. I'm going to mute.
So funny. Okay, so you covered ease of use, ease of uploading, ease of scheduling, ease of optimization, price, and then there was one more that you haven't covered yet, Heather, and that was analytics. Do you want to talk about analytics or is it too loud there right now? You want to talk about analytics. I know you do. I can see it. You're dying to tell
Okay.
us all about analytics.
So I'm going to caveat this by saying the weight on this particular score when I review tools is pretty low. I don't put a
Mm,
lot of weight into it because I use Google Analytics and Pinterest Analytics. But if you're paying for a tool and they promise analytics, they should deliver on those.
mhm.
There are a lot of Pinterest scheduling tools and social media scheduling tools that have fantastic reporting.
Oh,
And it's almost identical to your Pinterest analytics. Like when you get in there,
mhm,
because these tools have API approval, they pull in the data right from your analytics dashboard and they kind of
mhm.
put it all in these reports. So the tools that offer social media scheduling that also offer analytics, I really like those.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us what they were. I was going to say, would you do a little bit of a spoiler and tell us maybe like one that you like? I know, does Tailwind have one?
Um, Yeah, so Metrical actually does this really well, and they have
Okay.
white label reports. So you can actually white label the reports to have your own branding or your client branding on them
Hmm.
when you send it to them. So if you're a social media marketer and you're
Yep.
doing like social media management, and some of your clients are also doing Pinterest,
Hmm.
that might be a really great way for you to import and aggregate all the data
Hmm.
by tool or by platform and then white label those reports.
Okay.
Pretty nifty. I didn't showcase that in my video, but it is an option. You can play around
Okay.
with it.
Cool. Okay. So just a quick reminder for people who are listening, like you could be anywhere on this like spectrum of like, you have really advanced systems. You're actually, managing Pinterest for clients. I know you have people who manage Pinterest for clients in your membership, Heather. Not everybody, but some of the people are in this special kind of part of the membership. Um, all the way at the other end of the spectrum would be people who are using kind of doing more of like a minimum viable Pinterest strategy that over time delivers great results for them, but they're definitely minimum viable. They're not super focused on the platform. They're
Yeah.
very much like simple workflow, set it and forget it. In a lot of cases, those people might not even need to invest in a scheduling tool, especially if they're not already paying for one that works for Pinterest
Yeah.
because Pinterest's native scheduler works really well for a lot of people. And I can share a little bit at some point about like, me personally, like what I'm doing these days to manage my own Pinterest. But basically the quick version is that I'm using both. Sometimes I use later and sometimes I use the native scheduler. I use like a combination of both, basically.
Yeah.
So there's people at all ends of the spectrum. You could be somewhere in the middle of the spectrum. And I think your point is that to use these kind of six things when you're evaluating tools and trying different tools during the free trials that they offer to decide whether A, you need a scheduling tool, B, which ones make sense for your brain, C, which ones have the features that match up with what you actually need. Because a
Mhm.
lot of these great features sound cool, but they might not be something you need.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And some of those features might be the AI that some of the tools have integrated in, or a UTM builder, like Metricool's released within their tool the ability to build UTM codes for each of your posts, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
I could see for some people
Other,
with very advanced strategies that that would be helpful.
yeah. And some of the things with that is that they, with Metricool specifically, they require you to fill out all 5 fields, and you don't need all 5 fields when you're creating UTM codes. So, some of those features and functionalities, they make it a little clunky, but it's a great feature to have. Whereas a
Yeah.
tool like Buffer, you can turn it on in the background and it automatically tracks in your campaigns. But they make it easy.
Mm.
It's just either on or off,
Mm-hmm.
and they've done the work for you to pre-build it in. So,
Yeah.
some of the features are great. Some of the features you might be paying for and you don't ever use. The social media scheduling tools that connect with Canva
Mm-hmm.
are some of my favorite, hands down. I truly wish that more tools would connect directly to Canva
Mm-hmm.
and have like a partnership or API connection or whatever with Canva, because most of us all create our designs in Canva. So
Yeah.
when you go into the tool, instead of having to download it to your computer and then upload it to the
Upload it.
tool, and
Right.
then you have all this junk space on your computer taken up,
Yep.
you can just import directly from Canva. I think that's so fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish more would do that. So those are definitely by far like at the top of my list if I were to grab a full social media scheduling tool
Yeah.
and also use it for Pinterest. That would definitely be a consideration I would make.
Right. And that would make sense if you do a lot of Canva heavy platforms,
Yeah.
like Pinterest, for example. But if you do like Threads and LinkedIn are like your two main social platforms,
Yeah.
then maybe you don't need something that does that. So it's, you put graphics on LinkedIn and you can put them on Threads, but they're just, it wouldn't be as, you're not, whereas like Pinterest and Instagram are much more visual and there's a lot more,
Mhm.
like you pretty much don't put anything on either of those two platforms without having some kind of visual graphic.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that I've been doing a lot lately to speed up my own workflow, and I've been doing this for years in Canva, but a lot of these tools, like scheduling through Buffer to Threads, they like you can
Yep.
drag and drop an image or right click and copy and then paste into the tool, and it just populates. So you don't even have to download it and then re-upload it. So those are also
Yep.
things that I like to take into consideration, like how that goes into the ease of use. Like how
Right.
easy is it to get my content in here and use
Right.
this tool
Right.
for the money. So if
Yeah.
you're paying 25 to $35 a month for a tool,
Hmm.
it should fit the majority of your boxes,
Yeah.
really.
Yep. So if there's anyone listening, so I feel like there's kind of like two kinds of people. So if anyone
There
is
are
listening
multiple
who,
types.
but I mean, like I feel like there's some people that love trying new tools, and there's other,
Mhm.
and I think you're like that. Um, I am not like that at all.
I am for sure like that. I
I
love
do
trying shiny new
not,
things.
I do not like new tools. I get like anxious. I get like, like I want to know how to use it right away. I don't want to have to, experiment. So if there's anyone who just does not like trying new tools and just wants to know, like, what's the
Mhm.
best tool for me? Where do you think would be a good way to go about making that decision? Is that an unfair question? You're probably going to be like, no, you have to try them.
No, no, no. I will make the decision for you. There's two.
Oh,
There's Buffer or there's
look at you.
Tailwind. Or
Yeah.
there's the third, which is the native scheduler. So if
Yeah.
you want a scheduling tool in order to schedule further in advance, and you
Hmm.
don't need all the bells and whistles,
Yeah.
for social media, you don't need it for social media scheduling, then Buffer or Tailwind are really solid options. Buffer is $6 a month per account if you pay monthly. It's
Hmm.
$5 a month per account if you pay for a year. So it's very affordable. And
Yep.
per account means per platform, just to give context to that. So it's $6 for Threads and it's $6 for LinkedIn if you pay by month.
I see. Okay.
So you can save some money if you pay by year, but not a ton. Like
Right.
it's not a big difference. Um, Pretty much like 2 months free, I guess, $12 if you were to pay
Yeah.
for a year. But yeah, those are the two if you just want something straightforward, easy to use, you want to be able to jump
Yep.
in and immediately start using it without having to go to like social media scheduler school.
Hmm.
Those are the two.
Social media scheduler school, i.e., Heather's YouTube playlist that we're going to
Yeah.
link in the description is your totally free social media
For
scheduler
sure.
school.
School.
And you can also you can also go to the blog post that she's linking that we'll link in the description if you prefer to learn in a school that is a blog post.
Yeah.
Or
The
both.
blog
Both might be
post,
good.
I'll just let you guys know the blog post is the review.
Mm.
And then within each section is the link to the individual blog post for the tool that shows you how to use it. So I have a blog post for each tool and I have a blog post for the review. And I've made it very easy for you to consume, choose a tool, watch the video, read the blog post, and you're off.
This is amazing that you create all of this amazing free content for people.
I enjoy doing it.
I know you do. I know you do.
So
And
yeah,
my content strategy hat is on because I wrote a blog post, this is a little bit of a tangent, but last week called How to Create Valuable Content Without Giving Away Everything for Free. Because I know a
Mhm.
lot of people worry about that, like, oh, am I giving away too much for free? And it's so good that you create these, you enjoy them, people find so much value in them. And at the end of the day, choosing a scheduler and knowing which scheduler is right for you and learning how to use a scheduler is great, but you still need a Pinterest strategy. And in
You
order
do.
to learn the Pinterest strategy, people need to join your membership. And I think that that's
Exactly.
really like, it's just really smart. And I know we're getting kind of meta and off on a tangent, but I just want to like kind of tease that out for our viewers who also like to follow us both for our content strategy brains. So, okay.
Yeah, I love content strategy and I love geeking out about the different ways that I can, help people for free. They can walk away feeling like, wow, she really helped me to make that decision, or she really helped me
Mhm.
to figure this out. Um, that builds trust.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't know how, but I've somehow become known as the person that will help you figure out which Pinterest scheduler to use.
I know how. You've done the work and you care
It's because I
about
spent
helping
hundreds of
people.
dollars. By the way, when I review these tools, I spend my own money
Yeah.
and I thoroughly use the tool for a period of time before I publish videos. Now, some of the tools that I initially was using, or like the recent one for Metricool, I used it in the past. So I have experience with the tool, but I'd never used it specifically for Pinterest. So when I turned the tool on, I paid for it again. And then made the video for Pinterest. I hadn't used it for very long. And I make that clear in the video. Like, I've used this tool. This
Hmm.
is my first time using it for Pinterest. Here's how to do it.
Yep.
But it's not a tool that is going to go into my own business's tool belt. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
And how do you, this is kind of a tangent too. Are there other things you want to cover before I ask you random questions about scheduling?
Oh, you know what? There's one random thing, and I have
Hmm.
it in my list of content I'm going to be creating for the YouTube channel. But did you know, Jana, that you can bulk upload pins to Pinterest with a CSV file
Using
organically?
basically, yeah, okay, so natively.
Yeah.
Um, I think I knew you could do it, but I don't know how.
So I'm going to be figuring that out. Someone actually sent me a
Okay.
DM on Instagram. I feel like I need to comb my hair. Like the
See,
humidity here is so bad.
mine's
Um,
humid. It's very humid here too.
I'm going to be figuring that out for us very soon. I
Cool.
just haven't made
Exciting.
it a priority. But yeah, it's
Okay.
a you can bulk upload your pins to Pinterest. There's a lot of pre-work that has to go into it, which is why I haven't been able to do it just yet.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, you can do that for free too, and you don't even have to have a tool.
Cool. And is it well, maybe you don't know yet, but is it still up to 30 days in advance that you can schedule them out?
I think it might be further. This
Ooh,
is what I have to test out.
juicy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. My question, and then we should probably wrap up, is when you're approached by tools
Mhm.
to try their tool or to review their tool, how do you handle that? Like, how does that happen for you? Because I know people are asking you all the time.
Yeah, I've had it happen a lot. Um, so if a tool approaches me and I have one coming out soon that they were actually told by someone in their community that they needed to reach out to me, and the actual developer, the owner of the company reached out.
Hmm.
And he was very nice. We spent an hour chatting about the tool, about the functionality. Um, he showed me all the things and he's like, is this something you would even want to review? And
Uh-huh.
what do you want for it? And I told
Hmm.
him, like, I don't want money. He's like, I'll just give you a free account and you can like a free trial and you can try it out. Um, so that's what we did. I actually ended up signing up for a free trial and he extended it for me.
Mhm.
So I could properly try the tool out. But that's what I do. I don't ask for money because I want it to be a completely unbiased review. So I let them know
Okay.
I'm going to review your tool and I have a scale I'm going to review it on, and I'm going to do a tutorial on this.
Hmm.
I'm going to create content on this. So I'd like to be paid through an affiliate link at the very least, but I don't want to be paid for the video or
Uh-huh.
the blog because I want it to be as completely unbiased and detached from you as possible.
That makes sense.
So yeah, I actually just refilmed that video yesterday that's going to be coming out for a social media tool.
Hmm.
It's Recur Post.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
that's the scheduler, and he
Is it
reached out to me back in
Dinesh?
the spring. Yeah,
Dinesh?
Dinesh.
Yeah.
And we had some back and forth because prior to him coming to me, the tool for Pinterest was very limited. Like you can put 5 boards in the tool
Hmm.
and it was $25 a month. And I was like, this is not great.
Yeah.
I can't sell this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he took my feedback, he went to his community, asked his community of users, of paying users for feedback, and he actually got the same answer.
Of course.
So he
Yeah.
changed it.
Yep.
And now I've done a review of the tool and a
Yep.
tutorial, and it'll be coming out later in August.
Okay, so I have to ask, when I first started using Recur Post years ago, the
Mhm.
whole point of it and why it was kind of different than other schedulers was that it was a recurring situation.
Yeah.
Do they do any looping at all of
They do
pins?
that you can make them recur, but I don't, in my video, I
Okay,
made it clear we're not using this feature.
right. Because Tailwind still has the smart loop, but we don't use it really in our strategies anymore, but they still have it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And who
Yep.
knows? I mean, so many times over the last 8 years that you and I have been Pinterest experts, it's like, we say something and then a few years go by and something changes. The pendulum
Yeah.
shifts in the other direction. Right now, looping is absolutely not a good part of part of a really good strategy. But
No,
for years, it was. And who knows? I mean, group boards, we never thought group boards would make a comeback, and they seem to be
they
making a bit of a
are.
comeback. So who knows what'll happen? Maybe looping and, in measure will be something that we do again. Who knows? You never know.
Maybe. Yeah. And one of the things with Recur Post is you could turn it on to recur. And
Hmm.
then one of the features that he was walking me through in our call together was that you can actually edit the post. So you could change, you'd have this preset post that's published before. You can change the image, you can change the caption. There's
Yeah.
anything about the post that's in that library of recurring content can be updated. So
Right. So
it's
if you just
definitely
update it once every 60 days instead of starting a brand new like process from scratch, that actually yeah. Actually, now I kind of want to play with that and see if it could work for what I do because, my strategy overall is pinning every blog post that I have, which is a lot at this point, right? Over the
yeah.
years. Um, I pin almost every blog post. There's a few that I don't pin anymore, but um, every 60 days roughly and looping through my blog posts, but I use a new pin image and a variation on the description and things like that. So it's not a set it and forget it loop, but I could see why something like Recur Post, if it had it set up that way, could potentially be good for that application.
So we have some comments on our YouTube live, and I had the window hidden and I had no idea. So a couple
Oh,
people have
sorry,
been
guys.
chatting with us,
Oh, oops,
and
sorry.
well, I just didn't see it. So of course, Tamisha is here. She's always here, and
Hi,
Olivia's here.
Tanisha. Hi,
So hello,
Olivia.
ladies. Evelyn's here, and she says she uses Canvas for
Hi,
scheduling,
Olivia.
and Canva's a great scheduling tool. They are a partner and obviously they're API approved. There's a bit of a workaround with Canva because the way that I like to design like 30 things in one file,
Yeah,
and you can't schedule all of them out of the same file. So you have to you just have to have a workaround. So
yeah.
I will create all 30 in one file and then I'll make 30 individual files and apply the design. It's a bummer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can
There's another
I see the
workaround I have
workflow
for
for
that
that.
too. Yeah.
Okay.
Where
All
I'll do
right.
one blog per file and then I'll
Mm-hmm.
schedule one at a time. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a workaround and it's useful if you just want to use Canva. You're already paying for this tool. It's very
Yeah.
affordable.
But it's kind of like the time that you save from downloading and uploading that you would normally have to do with Canva into another tool. It's sort of like you're losing that time because the workflow, you have that extra step in the workflow. You have to
Yeah.
create all the designs and then um move them, not move them, but I know what you're saying, whatever you just said a second ago, where you're like
Yeah.
adding them to like opening several tabs probably and adding each to a different file. So yeah.
Ramona says that she uses Later and she doesn't like trying new ones. Ramona, Later is a great tool for Pinterest as well.
Ramona and I are twinning. We use Later and we don't like trying new tools. I'm with you,
Jerry,
Ramona.
Jerry says I'm a great Pinterest teacher. Janet is too, and I'm the Pinterest lady. Thank you so much. Um, Naman asks if Canva allows you to do the title, description, and tags in the Canva scheduler. You can do the title, description, and link, but you can
The
only
tags.
apply Pinterest tag topics via the Pinterest scheduler. And I didn't mention this
Oh.
earlier, Jana, but
Hmm.
if you're doing a lot of video
Yep.
pinning, you only want to publish video through the native scheduler with Pinterest because these third-party tool servers will compress your video and it comes out on the other end on Pinterest pixely.
Yeah. Yep.
So I didn't mention
And
that.
are there any third-party tools right now that allow you to use Pinterest tags when you're
No,
uploading? Okay. So it's a
or
little
tag products. So both tagging
mm,
features are
yep.
not supported with any third-party tool.
So I want to say something about this because this is an example of like you have to look at your business and your needs. So for
Mhm.
me, adding tags, not product tags, but regular tags to my pins isn't really a big deal. It doesn't really help me that much. And
Yeah,
the reason is that there aren't a lot of tags that are really relevant for my business.
yeah.
There are a few. There's like one that's like life coaching because I work with a
There's
lot of
social
life coaches,
media,
social
marketing.
media. But really, I teach blogging, and it's not
Yeah,
really even blogging like for bloggers. I teach, coaches how to have a blog and service providers how to have a blog that gets you clients, and
yeah,
that's different. So for me, the tagging isn't really crucial, but for some people, if you're in a certain niche or if you're in one of the most popular categories on Pinterest, for example, those tags could make a really big difference to your visibility. So that would be a reason why you might want to really focus on doing most of your scheduling natively, just as an example, which
yeah.
is just kind of goes to show that there's no one size fits all. You really do, unfortunately, for people like me and Ramona. You got to try the different tools and see which one works for you.
Jerry brings up a good question, and then we're gonna have to wrap it up because I know we're getting close to time.
Mhm.
She says that her product pins are not getting a lot of engagement. And one of the reasons your product pins might not be getting a lot of engagement, especially if you have a Shopify or WooCommerce or Etsy, some sort of shop platform where you're pinning product listings, it's because your product listing descriptions are not actually optimized using Pinterest keywords. Pinterest will overwrite the pin description that you use and you create and you put in your scheduler tool. It will overwrite it for all product listings. So you have to be really cognizant of that and you have to go back and actually edit your product listing descriptions to include Pinterest keywords. So if
on
you're
your
doing,
on
Jerry
your
says it's
website.
Etsy. Mhm.
Yep.
Jerry says it's Etsy, and that makes total sense. So
Hmm.
you want to go back to your Etsy listing descriptions, do a little keyword research for Pinterest, do keyword research for Google and for Etsy, all three, because you want to show up in all three places and you want to add those keywords to your description. Yeah, that might be why you're not getting any reach because of the keywords or
Yep.
lack thereof.
Yep. Good call.
Okay. That's really all we have time for today, guys. We are back next week, Jana, talking about I don't
I
even
think,
know what.
yeah, no, next week we're going to be talking about we're really doing kind of a 180 and going back to talking about content strategy for next week. And we're
Love
talking
content
about,
strategy.
yeah, I know, right? Whether or not you can effectively sell in your content if you
Yeah.
don't have client results to talk about yet.
Yeah.
So, spoiler alert, yeah, you can. You can still sell. And we're really going to talk about how you can sell when you don't have client results yet. So,
Yeah. That's fantastic. Um, Kitty, yeah, free schedulers, Pinterest. A good paid scheduler is going to be Buffer if you just want a basic starter tool. But I have plenty of content you can consume to get the answer to that. But the short answer is the free Pinterest scheduler or Buffer if you want something super affordable that's easy to use.
Yep. And one more mention that we're going to put your playlist with all of the different schedulers and information about how to choose schedulers and which ones have different features and all that good stuff in the description of this after we wrap up. And we're
Yeah,
also going to link your blog post that reviews the different products. So we're going to go ahead and put those both in there for advanced learning.
great. Well, thank you guys so much for joining and for being so active in the chat. I really appreciate your being here and you giving us a platform. We wouldn't be here, obviously, without an audience. So thanks again. We'll be back next week to talk about those client case studies, getting clients with content. Until then, we'll see you in other videos or other places. Bye for
See you
now.
next week.